Hi, everybody. I'm Chris Preimesberger, editor of eWEEK. Thank you very much for joining us for this latest segment of eWEEK eSpeaks. It's a series of IT conversations with thought leaders from all over the technology business in every corner of the world. Our interviewee today is David Konetski. David is a Dell Tech Fellow, and he's a vice president, and he works in the office of the CTO at Dell Technologies. David, welcome.
Hi, Chris. It's great to be here.
Yeah,
Thanks for
having me. Tell me a little bit about what you do at Dell and a little bit about security of Dell, because that's what we're talking about today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So I've been responsible for the security and management of our client platforms for about 15 years now. I'm a long tenured Dell person, about 25 years. And I've seen a lot of changes. And boy, we had a doozy of a year last year, didn't we?
Yeah.
So, I think everybody's pretty aware that, most workers are working remote at this point. And even as things go back to, what we consider normal, the world has changed, the industry has changed. And a lot of us are going to remain working from multiple places, being either remote or hybrid remote for the foreseeable future. Right? And so, we combine that with the change in the cyber ecosystem and cyber activity. We've seen a tremendous increase in the amount of cyber activity. So, given those two big changes, we thought it'd be a great time to talk about securing your infrastructure, securing your platforms.
Right. Okay. So let's do that then. What is well, just give me the overview on Dell Security. Now, we've talked before. We talked about the security that Dell is providing, the new found security or new gen security in the BIOS for personal devices. How does that translate into servers in the data center?
Oh, great! That's a great question. Yeah, so let me give you a little bit of context, a little bit of history. Dell has a long history in intrinsically protecting our platforms. And when I say intrinsically protecting them, that means we build security right into the platform itself. I can go back 2 decades and talk about how Dell was one of the first to start doing verification of BIOS. We were the first to put TPMs on motherboards. It's the Trusted Platform Module. And we are still the only OEM and have been for the last decade shipping a dedicated security processor for identity. Right, so you take a lot of those core tenets and they transcend from client to server and into storage, because we use the same platforms for servers and storage. And really the whole idea is that we want to establish a secure foundation. Right, we want to be able to, if you're building that house, right, you can't build a house unless you have a secure foundation. Right. And the house being the OS and the applications and all of our security at the OS level, but rooting that into hardware. So if you have a hardware root of trust, you have a trusted chain of boot and verification. That's all creating that trusted platform. And so we've taken a lot of the ideas of security that normally you hear people talk about at the OS level. That is, the NIST framework of identifying threats, protecting against those threats, detecting if something goes wrong, and then of course responding and cleaning up the mess, so to speak. Right? We've taken those tenets and we've pulled them into the platform itself to create that secure foundation. And so a lot of the announcement that you've heard from us recently has been along those lines. So doing off-host BIOS verification, and then being the first in the industry to provide indicators of attack that are being generated below the OS. And now our more recent announcements, actually starting to do secure component verification so that what was built is what you received. And then of course, combining that with things like tamper evidence services, secure data lifecycle so that we can destroy data securely at the end of the lifecycle. All of these things combine to create that secure foundation and create what is the most secure commercial PCs in the industry.
Wow, that's saying a lot. And I heard a lot of firsts in there too when you were explaining. Absolutely. And guys like me like first only and new, because usually that's news and that's good. So so you're saying, David, basically that all these features and functionality is kind of spread out across the board in all the devices, pretty much?
Yes, all of our commercial PCs share the same pedigree from a security standpoint. And as you can imagine, we work very closely with our brethren in our infrastructure solutions group so that servers, storage, and networking all share the, kind of that core pedigree and that core intrinsic security approach to securing the infrastructure.
Yeah, and you're one of the constants through Dell over the years in this, and so you've seen this entire ebb and flow and the cycle of the improvement of security all the time. So yeah, I'm talking to the right guy here. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know we talked briefly earlier about you know the remote workforce, and that's only going to keep happening. It's not going to go away. Apparently, a lot of people are getting, and companies are getting used to the idea of their employees working remotely from home or from the road, wherever they are. And we have the tools and the pipes, and we have the chips, and we have the storage to do all this. We wouldn't be able to do, I don't think we could have done this 10 years ago or less, maybe.
That's right.
We can't, but we can now with the tech that we have. What are some other components of security that are important to think about for IT buyers, that a lot of them whom read eWEEK and watch our videos? VPNs, for example, does Dell offer a VPN, or does it partner with a company for that, or does it or what?
Yeah, we do offer VPN services. You know, but more importantly, as we look forward, the question is, how does your security model have to change and evolve? And so, you know, we look at another huge trend, you know, which is a large migration to cloud native applications and cloud data storage facilities. And so how do you secure those? So as we go forward, you know, we see, you know, the traditional desktop going away and people moving much more towards virtualized or containerized application deployment and data management. And again, as that starts to evolve and we start to see your workspace start to evolve and change, and you be able to work, as we said, in multiple different places on multiple different devices and move that workspace from device to device, having that core security layer, being able to root security on the platform, you know, provide that intrinsic security, and then be able to attest and verify that what is running is what you want running, right? And there hasn't been any changes or malicious activity that's happened between your data server, your application server, and your endpoint.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. You touched on it. What about issues like rogue IT, or you know, where people are using applications outside the scope of the employer or the company? What does Dell offer to help monitor and secure that kind of activity?
Yeah, that's an interesting topic. We did a survey of our customers last year and found that about 75% of employees share data outside of their corporate network and with other colleagues, really just trying to get work done. And you know, another 50% of those people actually admit that they will go around security measures if it thinks that it's inhibiting their productivity. So the one thing that we can all keep in mind is that as we are deploying securities and security layers, that we keep it transparent and we keep employee productivity in mind. Because the minute you get in the way of employee productivity is the minute that they want to try to disable what you're doing.
Yeah.
So, you know, a huge thing is as we go forward again, the more we can embed within the platform itself, run at the hardware level, the more transparent it is to the end user.
Yeah, that's great. Very important to think about. So we have just a couple minutes left, David. I really appreciate your time today on this, and this is very illuminating. You know, good stuff. And what can we expect looking ahead this year, next year, and into the future that Dell might be able to bring us, or what trends are you seeing that are important for us to know about, especially buyers of IT?
Yeah, that's thank you for that. it's always a cat and mouse game with the malicious cyber actors and us trying to protect the infrastructure. So you will see us continually mitigating threat vectors before they happen, being able to get further, we call it to the left, ahead of that cyber kill chain, as we call it, being able to stop the attack before it actually does the damage. And you'll see more from us at the platform level, being able to root those services in a way that we can then go cross OS, cross device, and cross architecture. And then as we start becoming much more cloud native, being able to embrace services like SecureWorks, Taegis, and others, which are XDR services, to be able to augment what we do on the platform to secure your entire infrastructure.
Yeah. And that's where I presume that's where some artificial intelligence and some machine learning type capabilities come into the security system, so as to anticipate, or if not to predict, but at least anticipate some issues. Is that what Dell's working on?
As I talked about generating indicators of attack at the platform level, while also in creating those indicators of attack at the network, application, the ecosystem level, all uses machine learning and artificial intelligence. We really made that leap. I'm going to say it was about 5 years ago, going from traditional anti-malware, antivirus, which is using signatures, to using behavioral analysis and artificial intelligence to be able to identify malicious activity, in an environment where that cyber actor is trying to hide and increase their dwell time.
Right. David, this has been a really good touch on the security approach from Dell Technologies. I really appreciate your time. Thank you very, very much. And I would like to follow up again, at a later time and find out about new trends that you're seeing out there. I think it'd be good to know about. So thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you. It was great being here.
For everybody following along to the end here, thank you very much. Have a great rest of your eWeek. Thanks for joining us on eWEEK eSpeaks. Go to eWEEK.com to hear more conversations with IT thought leaders.